Hey everybody, it's great to see you. I know it's been a little while since we've done one of our super fun recordings, but I wanted to welcome you to another episode of Parenting Upstream. My name is Jerry Blackburn, and I'm the program director for the Empower Youth Network, which is a local nonprofit organization that works to help young people and their trajectory into adulthood in all kinds of different areas. And I'm also an adjunct faculty member in the clinical mental health counseling program at Seattle U. And I'm joined by my dear friend, Marcelle. Hello.
Hello. It's so good to
Good
see
to
you,
see you.
Jerry.
I know. And it's not Trader Joe's or
I know,
somewhere in
right?
Issaquah.
And just, gosh, time got away from us a little bit as we've
A
both
little
been
bit.
pretty busy, but with good stuff, right? With
Yeah.
good stuff. But yeah, it's been busy. So it's great to be back.
Definitely good to see you. So as far as topics today, we're going to jump around a little bit. We're trying to figure out, okay, what do we want to talk about? What's front of mind? And given that it's the end of the school year, we thought we would do kind of a wrap up so that we could jump on a couple different topics and then kind of transition, and maybe we'll do something specific to summer as we start to move on. But we first wanted to acknowledge some recent events, obviously tragic recent events. And so I'll let Marcelle kind of talk about that a little bit. And yeah, I know that it was a big topic of conversation in our household, and just to have another circumstances where young people were murdered in what should be a safe place really hurts. As an educator, as somebody who works with young people, my wife is a teacher, schools should not feel like that. Like I caught myself actually thinking about my job and going to campus, and I had never had to worry about that, right? And it's a terrifying reality. Yeah.
So I'm trying to, the sun just moved. I'm so sorry.
It's nice that we have it.
Well,
By the way,
that's
right?
the way it goes. So sorry about that segue. So as Jerry was saying, the recent events in Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary School is really something that has hit all of us hard as parents, as educators, caretakers, wherever we sit and whatever our roles are in our lives. It's been a grief and a loss for all of us, whether we live in that community, near that community, or far from the community. It definitely has rippled through the world. And one thing we know about grief and loss and sort of these events is that sometimes there's a whole lot of focus, which can be difficult for those people, but also when that focus starts pulling back, sometimes there's a loss in connections. And as we know, the news, the media, it's been very a lot down there. And as we move forward, those things are going to start, sort of trickling away. And what I have been able to do is connect with some really wonderful people down in Texas, more in the city of San Antonio. I was actually able to use what I do and what I'm passionate about. And I did a donation for FeelLinks, and I had my FeelLinks community and myself, and I matched 1-to-1, and we sent 168 sets of FeelLinks down to San Antonio by way of getting to Uvalde, Texas, by a wonderful gal by the name of Erica. Erica also sits on the board of Maya's Love, which is a nonprofit organization specifically there to support families and people through trauma and traumatic events. And so because of that, I have now been hooked up through Maya's Love, who is going to sort of be the ones to give out the FeelLink sets to the children in hospitals still, and then to families and children that are seeking some counseling support and things down there. But I also wanted to throw out that there is an opportunity for you out there, whether you live near or far. Maya's Love is looking for mentors. Mentors are somebody who is willing to about once a week, just be a safe place, a safe person that can connect with the survivors down in Texas, whether it's grandparents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers, and or the children, and just be able to be a person for them. We know that, you know, having strong adults and mentorship is really important in the life of a child, let alone maybe also befriending an adult too. So I wanted to throw out there to all of you, if you are interested in this, you can go ahead and email Maya's Love, and the email address is info@mayas, MAYAS, love, LOVE.org. If you send an email there, let them know that you're interested in being a mentor, they will be matching people up, and you can just, you know, feel like you are making a direct connection and impact into somebody's life that's going to need support. The other thing I want to say is they know for sure there is a lot of, you know, clinicians and licensed mental health, you know, people. So we are not being asked to do that or hold that in any capacity, way, shape, or form. This is really just a person to be a connection. So I just wanted to put that out there today and just say that our hearts truly go out to all the victims and the families and the town and all of us who are really grieving this too. So.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you. That is just an awesome opportunity. I love the idea of mentor programs. Issaquah School District, the Voice Program, is a mentor program for young people. And my organization, Empower Youth Network, has a mentorship program called Youth Success Mentoring, where we put caring adults in the lives of young people throughout the Snoqualmie Valley school districts. And it's just a different kind of experience. It's a connection that's really unique. It's lived experience. It's not, like you said, clinical. And it's just a level of empathy and support that, you know, that is different than a mental health connection and or a clinical engagement, right? And there's super value in that. It's pretty cool. So, well, thank you for that. And the other thing that we wanted to talk about again a little bit is just kind of the end of year rolling into summer, some of the unique aspects of that change in terms of behaviors and what occurs in that process. The one thing that I wanted to touch base on just real briefly was the results from the 2021 Healthy Youth Survey. For the folks who aren't familiar with that, every 2 years, unfortunately, we skipped 2020 because the administration of that survey wasn't set up to be remote at that time. But the 6th graders, 8th graders, 10th graders, and 12th graders in our district and lots of school districts throughout Washington state take that survey, and lots of organizations, mine being one of them, use that information in terms of our grant writing, our problem solving, our strategic planning. We can really look longitudinally at what's occurring. And one phenomena that was really encouraging over this last cycle was the reduction in substance use across Washington state and probably the country. Specific to what I was just referring to as kind of a byproduct of COVID isolation. Our young people were in proximity of parents and caregivers and adults much more frequently, and it made it more problematic for them to participate in maladaptive patterns of behavior. So substance use being one of those, right? So it's a great example of the power of that protective factor. Parents play a huge role in, and I know we don't always feel like it. Like I look at my 16-year-old and go, didn't hear a word I just said. But they really do. They really do listen. They take into consideration. They're using that in their acquired tools and skills. And so having those firm boundaries, having those conversations, a COVID isolation didn't involve any of that extra stuff. It was just you being in proximity, and the percentage drops are significant. Working with folks in King County and looking at grant applications, the main verbiage we're using is maintain the game. right? What can we do to
Love that.
continue that trend? Since we can take advantage of the fact that substance use dropped so significantly, vaping in our communities and on our school campuses, all of that stuff is dropped. How do we maintain that, right? Whether it be through making sure we have psychoeducation in schools, accurate curriculum, social emotional learning curriculum, giving kids skill sets to deal with high risk and not even high risk, just emotions that they experience, right? Marcelle's like, yes,
Yes.
please, right?
Yes.
But all of those things, right? Those resilience-based developmental skill sets are what allow young people to have a healthier trajectory. All right. Substance use prevention is way less about education specific to what drugs do, right? Although that's a component, but if you don't have the skill sets to do anything with that education, then that education is useless, right? It's really unproductive. And so none of what we've seen in this in isolation is specific to any active interventions. It was just, again, a byproduct of the fact that young people were in a situation where it was much more difficult to use. And so we can take advantage of that. And then when I look at different municipalities and school districts, there wasn't huge changes in depression levels, some in anxiety levels and stuff. And one of the things that's somewhat problematic with that large data set in terms of it being longitudinal is that you don't have a pathology. You really don't know cause and effect. So anxiety levels could be the same, but you could have a different cohort having anxiety and you don't know what it is, right? You don't know if these are the kids who are coming out of isolation are now uncomfortable, or the kids who were in isolation because it was taken in October and they're still uncomfortable. And that's why it's so vital when Marcelle and I talk about social emotional learning and just the development of whole child health. It is an antidote to all of this proactively, right? We don't need to know what the pathology is. If kids have skill sets to manage anxiety, they experience less anxiety, right? And those kids who need services because they have an anxiety use disorder or problematic struggles, they can be identified more easily. And so we can get them the direct services, right? That's why we use that multi-tiered systems of support in school systems, right? Those universal precautions that impact the majority of young people.
Yeah. I mean, I got to go in and run my child's, school student store where they get to just get, they buy stuff with their little tickets. And, some kids that it doesn't do anything for them and they don't really care to collect tickets and they don't, it's like not their thing. And then the kids that do, like, they felt so proud coming up and like all these tickets they earned and they're, getting something like a puzzle or whatever it is, but just something that makes them like feel that, wow, now I've accomplished that, this thing. And even though we're not all into like the tangible pieces of rewards, some kids, like, that really is what helps drive them. And I think that the more, that we can see what our own children need, right? Like mine, she didn't really collect the tickets. It wasn't really her thing. And, but that's okay. It's just who she is. But the kids that did, and they were in line and were doing this in the school finally. And it was just like really cool to see the pride that they felt in, buying a fun new pair of sunglasses with, 40 tickets or whatever it was, so yeah, I think there's good ways to kind of, like you said, with that multi-tiered system, like what that kind of bigger section means and how do we help support those kids from the bottom, and up. And to go back what you were saying about the isolation and the difference in what we saw in drug use and those sorts of things. There is so much research, and I know you and I have talked about this a lot, and we talk about, resilience and all of that, but just like having a healthy connection with an adult and how important that is. And, I have lots of friends that are still working from home because it connected them so much more to their children than they ever have been. And so even though, some days it's kind of hard to be home because everyone's coming in and you're in a meeting, but in the reality of it is, you get to walk out of that door, whether it's your bedroom or it's an office or whatever, and your family's right there. And so, you know, for some families, this was a real plus, and it was a real, you know, maybe even a new connection with a child that you didn't have that deeper connection with. And so my advice is like, just keep going with that. And that doesn't mean that you have to work from home. It just means that use those opportunities, remember what that time gave you with your family, and try to really continue that with your young people, because having a strong adult in so many facets in, you know, we were just talking about that whole mentorship idea, and just whatever it is, that is like the number one for these children to have, you know, healthy social skills, healthy, you know, the mental health, the, you know, all of it. The resilience. So continue that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And also, obviously, we always throw out this caveat that some families didn't have those opportunities. They, you know, they were in circumstances where they couldn't be home in spite of COVID, and they were working, and they were out of the house. And so, yeah, just acknowledging that level of privilege and supporting systems that can create those same dynamics from a community standpoint, so that we can function more as a village, because it doesn't have to be your family. Like, if you're needing that support, like, access it and be able to, you know, connect with other folks who, you know, might need a little bit more at any particular given time to just create those same dynamics. Yeah, that's
Thank you. Very true.
Important caveat. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I always want to touch on
no,
that level.
Very much agree with that. Yes. But, you know, as I said, I think that whatever it is that brought, you know, maybe a new connection, just continue that. And if that is, you know, maybe you did better at listening to your child or asking them how they were feeling and really going deeper with your kids, check in, like, keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. What
and
else?
Speaking of checking in with your, I was going to say, and speaking of checking in with your kids, I don't know about all you out there, but I know we are in the last week of school, and, you know, transitions can be a time of like big feelings. And, you know, I had a friend tell me that their child was, I should say their teenager was having some emotional stuff going on, and they weren't really sure what was going on with their child. And I said, did you like think about that we're at the end of the school year? Like, it's kind of the, you know, it's been some time since our kids have like really experienced a full year of school, and here we are ending. And, you know, we could be excited and so ready to be done and summer to be here. But when transitions happen and things are ending, like the school year, like, there is loss, there is grief in that. And even if you are like, cannot wait to not have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go off to school, there are still pieces of school that are, you know, whether it's a teacher that you touch in with, or it's a friend, or the lunchtime you have with your buddies, or whatever it is, you know, there's loss there. And, or you just love math class, you know, I mean, there is loss. And whether it's graduating out of a school and moving on, or maybe your family's moving, or, you know, there are transitions. And I, you know, really just want to speak to a little bit about how we can kind of move in through this with our children and make things a little more smooth, because it can be hard. You know, the first thing I would say is that, and something Jerry and I always say is, listen, like, communicate, ask your kiddo how they're feeling about it being, you know, near, or maybe you're already finished, but how they're feeling about the school year coming to a close. And, you know, do they have any questions about what summer is going to be looking like? You know, is our mom or dad or the caretaker or whomever going to be working in a house, outside of the house? Are there plans for the family? You know, what time are you going to be able to dedicate to your child during that time? Will you be, if you're working outside the house, what is that going to look like in your house? Talking about expectations, the more our kids know, I mean, just the more they have comfort And, we could say knowledge is power. And I just really believe that, like, the more we can let them know kind of what is going on, along with, I would add to that, I'm really big on sort of posting things and having my kids know what's happening. So like I have a whiteboard in the hallway and I write, what we are going to be doing for the day. And like my expectation is like, you're ready to leave by 9 a.m. because we got to get somewhere, so just setting up some sort of like, summertime routine of, maybe there's calendars to look at or checklists to look at, like things that help our kids kind of navigate that time. Because there's a lot of time, whether they go to camp or they are home, or there's a lot of time when they're not attending school. So I would just start those conversations and listen to your kiddos, because I'm sure that they are having feelings about it. And they could be all, positive, but transitions bring on some other feelings too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. My young person really does thrive in just an awareness. And when I forget, he's pretty good at saying, like, what do we have planned for tomorrow? Because for him, it's about a level of structure. He has some struggles with anxiety. And so that's how kind of he manages it, as in terms of knowing what's traveling in his future, and so that he can set himself up. And yeah, it's helpful for me, right? I like to know what's going on as a human.
What are we doing today? Yeah. Well, and I would also
Right.
say, something I did last year, we have a neighbor who's a high schooler, but she had gone through middle school and my daughter was having questions. And I was like,
Nice.
oh, let's get together with her. And we sat outside and they chatted and my daughter could ask her questions. And it was like, maybe it's not going to be exactly the same. She left middle school a couple of years ago, but, just like, what does it feel like to have all these different teachers and these different classes? And like, so I'd say like, do your research, like whether it's looking up, like what might fifth grade have in science? Maybe your kiddo's excited for science next year, and they're moving to fifth grade, or find somebody who's in the grade above and ask about like, what was their favorite stuff, but kind of putting at ease, like what is going to be ahead for your child. I think doing your research is a great way. And so for us, for my daughter, it was really a lot about what is middle school going to be like and feel like, and someone else's experience not going to necessarily match up exactly, but I think it was really helpful for her to kind of figure out like how to, what to buy and like what size notebooks and, just questions she had. And what does it feel like to have a locker? And what kind of fun stuff do I use in my locker? So I would say that. And then the other thing, our family makes a bucket list. Like my daughter will get the huge Post-it paper out, like probably, I don't know, as soon as school's over on Friday. And we will make together, and then we will add to it as we want. Like, what do we want to do? Like, what goals do we want to accomplish? Like, what do we want to, do we want to rearrange our bedroom or paint a wall? Or do we want to make sure we go on a family hike? So whatever it is, like just fun things that you can create with your family. And so, like I said, it's the big Post-it paper and it's like up on the wall all summer long. So that's kind of a fun way to transition into, and then just keep adding or whatever. So
nice. So stealing that, because the other list of yard work gets depressing, right? It's
right. Like, I know. Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that could go on the family goal
fun
list too, like that stuff. But yeah. And then I would just also say that, like I said, there's so much time in the summer that, some kids are in camps all day and those sorts of things. But I also think it's a great time to let our kids maybe explore something new or kind of stand for a cause. Like maybe they want to do a lemonade stand and they want to raise money for something that's meaningful, or maybe they just want to raise money because they want to go buy a new book. But I think kind of coming up with something new and exciting, or like I said, stand for a cause. Like I think summertime's a really good time for that, and might give your kiddo a meaningful kind of project, or it's making kindness rocks and putting them around town, or, so I think there's great opportunity in the summer to really leverage the little bit less of a routine sometimes in the summer, but also where you can kind of put that in and create something that's meaningful during that time, especially if you're working or out of the house working, or even in the house working, and you need some stuff and tasks, so you're muted.
I was muted. I was
Yeah.
muted. I don't think we've ever had that happen. I
We
keep muting
haven't.
because I have dogs barking
I
and
know, I
cats
heard,
attacking.
but yeah, no, you did. We got it. We only heard one.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love I love the idea of the bucket list. I'm totally creating that, and my family will look at me like I have lobsters coming out of my head because they're so sarcastic. They're like, "You were talking to Marcelle, weren't you?" I'm like, "Stop it and put something on the bucket list."
I love it.
Yeah, I have also the circumstance. My teen is looking at getting a job for the summer, which is pretty cool.
That's
And this
awesome.
was self-directed because I wasn't
Yeah.
like, I loved working summers when I was younger. And yeah, and so he's just like, "Hey, can we stop by and get an application?" And he walked into
That's
Value
great.
Village because he loves Value
Oh, that's
Village.
good, because you get to
Walked
get all
out.
the like first look too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, walked
That's
out with a
great.
card and an interview for later today. I was like, that was one stop, right? And
Oh
so
my
yeah, that
gosh,
was
that's
good luck having.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Good.
I know. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think too, like what a great opportunity to start something that maybe your child's never
yeah,
done before and get a job in the summer. What a great time for that
exactly.
too. I
Yeah,
love that.
last year we just did like house stuff. It's like I said, okay, here's what I need done, like
Right.
you said, and creating that list. And it's like, take an
Yeah.
opportunity to do them, and here's
Right.
what you'll
Yeah.
get reimbursed for and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah, great
I love that.
stuff. Good
And
stuff.
don't forget to celebrate the year that they all just had, because it was
Yeah, a full year.
a
It
full
was
year.
long and
Yes.
yeah.
We used to, well, not anymore, but we used to silly string our kids like right when they got off the bus, and we'd have popsicles for the neighborhood kids or donuts.
Nice.
And, now I've got like the middle schooler who,
Yeah, don't
but
look at me or touch
yeah,
me.
I'm not really sure. And then my son goes to a different school, so I drive him. So I don't need anyone silly stringing my car. But, I think just like something fun to kind of, celebrate the year. And it could be it could be a ice cream sundae at the house. It could be a popsicle. It could be a pat on the back, whatever. But like, just remember that, our kids just endured like a full year. I don't know about your kids, but we were in mass, out of mass, back in mass, out of mass. I mean, it just, my one child was in one school, and then their new school got built and they transitioned to a new school. So it's just
It was a
been,
lot.
a lot of transition. So here we are again. So I really felt like that was kind of a good thing to touch on today, just to remember that, it is a unique time for our kids to process this, and maybe just ask how they're feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, and they got the opportunity to walk through it as long as we were not in their way, and enjoy the resilience skills that they were building and have an accomplishment, right? Yeah, I think that was super valuable. Lots of conversations in our community about, well, and it was just like, we kept lowering our expectations for them when they're ready to rise up and meet the higher expectations, because they were born as adventurers, as resilient creatures. And the only way they lose that is us removing the opportunities. And so, I'm excited that they can have something to put in their belt and be proud of, that they walked through something unique. It's pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely.
So that brings us probably to the end of this Parenting Upstream. We're so excited that you joined us. And if you are interested in a topic, put it down below wherever we post this on social media, and let us know, and we can make sure to talk about that. One of these days, we may be able to do just a live event somewhere in the community.
I know.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be so fun. Yes.
Yeah, and just have some parents join us and field questions and stuff. And not that we're experts, we're just passionate people, and love to have these conversations. And it really does evolve. And so we need all you to make that happen and stuff. So well, happy summer, Marcelle. Yeah.
Yes, happy summer. We're on the final stretch here. We just need a little bit warmer weather, but we'll get there, I'm sure.
We will. Yeah. We'll be complaining about the heat in a matter of 3
I know,
weeks. or
I know, I
something.
know, I know. Well, I don't, but yeah, people do.
No,
I know,
I
but
don't.
no,
I don't either.
I love
I
it.
don't know who those people are. So, and we'll see everybody next time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. All right, take care. Bye.